Angel Reese. Got to be more careful. Angel Reese, the WNBA would lead you to believe she came into last night's game against the Lynx on a tear. Whoa, look out, Minnesota Lynx. And the Minnesota Lynx, Cheryl Reeve, Natasha Howard, Courtney Williams, Olivia Miles, I keep saying that should have been the #1 overall pick. They put Angel Reese in a blender and hit the button last night.
Natasha Howard just sent a message that the entire WNBA heard loud and clear, and the fans watching could not believe what they were seeing. This was not just a tough matchup or a hard foul or a physical play that got a little extra attention. This was a seasoned veteran looking a hyped young player dead in the eyes and making it very clear who the real one was on that floor. Angel Reese has been carrying herself like an unstoppable force all season long, posted up on magazine covers, celebrated on every highlight reel, handed a narrative that the media has been pushing harder than almost anyone in this league. But what happened in that moment exposed something raw and real that no amount of marketing can cover up. And now every corner of the internet is flooding with one comparison that Angel Reese is absolutely not going to want to hear. When a player who has been positioned as a franchise cornerstone and a generational presence gets physically handled and mentally taken out of her game by someone who was not even the biggest name walking into that building, the questions start writing themselves, and they do not stop. Is the Angel Reese hype actually built on something sustainable, or has the media been aggressively selling a version of her that the real game tape simply does not support? And why does it feel like every time this league demands she prove herself at the highest level, there's always an excuse waiting in the wings instead of an answer? Here is exactly why this moment is resonating so deeply and why fans are still breaking it down hours later. Because this is not just about one play, or one game, or one bad night. This is about honest evaluation in a league where certain players receive a permanent pass no matter what the film shows and no matter what the numbers say. The fans who have been paying close attention already saw something like this coming, and now they finally have the receipts to back every word of it up. We are going to break down exactly what went down, why it matters, and what it tells us about where Angel Reese actually stands in this league right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And what you just watched right there was not an accident, it was not a fluke, and it was absolutely not a coincidence. That was a veteran who has been in this league long enough to know exactly what she is doing, walking into a game and completely dismantling the hype surrounding one of the most talked about players in the WNBA right now. Natasha Howard did not just compete in that matchup, she dominated it, she suffocated it. She made it look like Angel Reese had no answer whatsoever for someone with real length, real experience, and real physicality standing between her and the basket. Every single possession told the same story. Every defensive rep, every rebound battle, every moment where it mattered was owned by the wrong person according to the narrative this league has been selling. Howard was not just playing basketball last night. She was delivering a message to anyone who had been drinking the Kool-Aid without stopping to actually question what the numbers and the eye test were telling them all along.
Angel Reese. Got to be more careful. Angel Reese, the WNBA would lead you to believe she came into last night's game against the Lynx on a tear. Whoa, look out, Minnesota Lynx. And the Minnesota Lynx, Cheryl Reeve, Natasha Howard, Courtney Williams, Olivia Miles, I keep saying that should have been the #1 overall pick. They put Angel Reese in a blender and hit the button last night. I mean, nothing but legs and arms, looking like Kermit the Frog spinning in that bad boy. Natasha Howard. I got to tell you guys, did Stephanie White know what she was doing using her? Natasha Howard is on a killing spree, in case you guys don't know it. I mean, she's an MVP candidate right now. Natasha Howard is absolutely murdering it up there with the Minnesota Lynx right now. So, let's just start here, because this was some instant regret action. Angel Reese has been on a tear. Over the last 2 games, AR5, averaging 16 points, 9.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. She's been on a tear. We're talking about 2 games. By the way, I mean...
Now, the question that every viewer has to be wrestling with after watching that performance unfold in real time is one that the media has been carefully avoiding for a while now. If Angel Reese is genuinely the elite interior force she has been presented as, why does her game seem to completely evaporate the moment she steps across from someone who is not going to bow to the hype? Why does a player who gets celebrated so loudly after comfortable wins go so quiet when the competition actually demands something more than effort and energy? And why does it feel like every time this league puts her in a spotlight moment against legitimate competition, the result raises more questions than it answers? These are not unfair questions. These are the exact questions that a serious evaluation of any player demands, and the fact that they keep coming up around Angel Reese should tell you something important about where she actually stands. The honest and uncomfortable answer is that what played out in that clip is the most reliable test this league has to offer. You cannot fake your way through a matchup with a player like Natasha Howard. You cannot survive on momentum and media coverage when someone with that level of experience and physicality is making every possession a fight. Real stars find a way in those moments. They dig in, they adjust, they impose their will even when the game is not going their way. That is what separates the players who belong at the very top from the players who simply benefit from being placed there by a promotional machine running at full speed. Howard belonged in that moment. She earned every second of it. And until Angel Reese can walk into a matchup that hard, against competition that is unforgiving, and come out on the right side of it with something real to show, these conversations are not going anywhere, and the comparisons are only going to get louder and more pointed with every game that passes. And this is where the statistical reality of Angel Reese's game stops being a matter of opinion and starts becoming something that is genuinely impossible to defend. Because when you strip away the highlight packages, when you turn off the noise from the promotional machine, and when you actually sit down and look at what the numbers are saying game after game, a pattern emerges that no amount of positive spin can paper over. The efficiency numbers are not just underwhelming, they are the kind of numbers that would have any other player in this league sitting on the bench and fighting for her roster spot. Close range finishing at a rate that would embarrass most role players, negative impact on the scoreboard when she is out there, and a final line that looks nothing like the profile of a player who has been handed this much attention and this much credibility by the people covering this sport. This is not a one-night sample size problem. This is a trend that keeps showing up every single time the lights get brightest.
Good. And let's be honest, from 1 to 5 feet, 46.8% for a big is awful. Look at this. Bunch of goose eggs down through here. Bunch of goose eggs. She had another horrible game, folks, last night. Another horrible game right here. Somebody made a nice little graphic for this. Yeah. Interesting take. Laugh out loud. Oh. Yikes. Let's see. Reese, way down here. Yikes. What is that? A minus? Net points, a minus 18 or something like that? Got to be more careful, folks. Wow. I wouldn't watch this if you paid me $1 million. I can't stand the circus that Angel Reese is. Okay, she shot 3 of 8 and finished with 10 points and 8 rebounds.
Now, the question that should be burning in every viewer's mind right now is a simple one, but it carries a lot of weight. How does a player who is supposed to be one of the premier interior presences in this league continue to post these kinds of efficiency numbers without facing any serious accountability from the people tasked with evaluating talent honestly? And why does the conversation around her performance always seem to get softened, redirected, or buried under storylines that have nothing to do with what is actually happening on the floor? If any other player in the WNBA was producing at this level of inefficiency while taking up this much roster space and this much media oxygen, would the coverage look anything like what Angel Reese has been receiving? The answer to that question is where things get really uncomfortable for everyone who has been riding the hype train without pumping the brakes. Production is the only currency that actually matters when a season is on the line, and right now the ledger is not balancing. A player can survive a bad game. every competitor in this league has those. But when the bad games start outnumbering the good ones, and when the efficiency tells a story that directly contradicts the narrative being pushed, it is no longer fair to treat it as a rough patch. It is a pattern, and patterns do not fix themselves through media coverage or highlight reels. They get fixed through honest evaluation, real accountability, and a willingness to hold every single player in this league to the same standard, regardless of how big their name is or how loud the crowd gets when she walks into the building. And now we get to the part of this conversation that makes the league's entire promotional apparatus look completely exposed. Because while the scoreboard was telling one story, the individual matchup playing out on that floor was telling a completely different one that nobody inside the establishment wanted to talk about honestly. Natasha Howard was not just winning the battle against Angel Reese in this game. She was winning it so convincingly, so repeatedly, and so visibly that it became the defining image of the entire night. Every time Reese had an opportunity to answer, Howard took it away. Every time there was a chance to make a play that would quiet the noise and justify the billing, the moment slipped through Angel Reese's hands and landed in somebody else's highlight reel. And to make everything worse, the final shooting numbers from Reese's night painted a portrait of offensive struggle that her supporters are going to have a very hard time spinning into anything resembling a positive take. This was not a close call. This was a comprehensive, documented, undeniable failure to perform when the competition demanded more.
Of course, all you need to know is, again, league agenda is real. Anything to make this person a superstar. Natasha Howard, look at this move. I told you she put Angel Reese in a blender. Look at this. Forget about it. What? Are you kidding me? I mean, Angel's not even involved. She just had her hands up. Good. Check this out. Let's go back one. Angel trying to chase her down. Watch this one. Angel's... yeah. God. Wow. Angel Reese and the Dream lose to the Lynx. Final score 96-81. They got crushed. Angel is 37.5% from the field. Reese continues to struggle offensively in her third season. By the way, Howard has not looked nearly as good since the arrival of AR5. I'm just pointing that out. You can't kill the messenger on this one.
But here is the layer of this story that nobody is addressing directly, and that every honest viewer should be turning over in their mind right now. If a player of Natasha Howard's caliber had genuinely been operating at a diminished level before this particular matchup entered the picture, what does that say about the conditions under which Angel Reese has been putting up her most celebrated numbers? Is it possible that the production that launched 1,000 headlines and fueled an entire off-season of hype was built against competition that simply was not equipped to stop her? And if the moment Howard returned to peak form, she immediately made Reese look like a completely different player, does that not reframe every single box score and every single argument that has been made on Reese's behalf over the past several months? The answer to those questions is one that the league and its media partners would very much prefer to stay buried. But the game tape does not lie, and the efficiency numbers do not negotiate. When a player struggles to convert at an acceptable rate against genuine competition, when she gets outworked and outmaneuvered by a veteran operating at full capacity, and when the final score reflects a blowout loss that her team absorbed while she was on the floor, the narrative has to shift. You cannot keep celebrating a player based on the moments that flattered her while quietly ignoring the moments that told the full truth. Howard told the full truth in that game. The numbers confirmed it, and anyone watching with clear eyes already knows exactly what this performance means for the larger conversation about where Angel Reese genuinely stands in this league right now. The WNBA does not care about narratives when the game is actually being played. It does not pause for magazine covers, or pause for marketing campaigns, or pause for the hype machine to catch up with reality. What happened when Natasha Howard stepped on that floor and handled business was the league reminding everyone watching that production is earned, not assigned. Angel Reese has time to grow, but growth only comes when the honest conversation finally gets louder than the promotional one. And after tonight, that conversation just got a whole lot harder to silence. If you want the real breakdown that the mainstream coverage refuses to give you, hit that subscribe button right now.